everyone.
Welcome to another behind the scenes of the Tameana transformation. It is an 8-week transformation that I am currently moving through, as well as Derek, as well as a third person. And it is a combination of modalities that I practice that I have combined and integrated together to create this potent 8-week program. I don't even like calling it a program. But I don't know what else to say because it's 8 weeks of sessions, it's 8 weeks of transformation, it's 8 weeks of integration, but it's not a program. But I'm still trying to figure out what word to use for this. Magical journey.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the Tameana transformation. That's what it is. And what it is it helps you move through your 7 planes of power to tune into them so that you can fully express yourself authentically in that space that is you. Not with all these layers and stuff on, but in that space that is you. So what we are doing is we've been coming on. If you've missed the previous ones, we've had 2 others that we have come on and talked about the different levels. We'll have one more after this coming up in a couple of weeks. But basically, you can head on over, if you want to catch those ones, over to YouTube. The link's in my bio, and you can check out those other videos. I've posted them. But why am I even doing this? And why am I showing you the behind the scenes? Well, one, I've realized I myself appreciate major transparency and also knowing that the person that I am seeing for my healing processes and to help me as I'm going through all these awakening processes, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it, because it's all a form of awakening and source of awakening. I appreciate knowing that they understand what's going on. And these are modalities that I've practiced, yes, and I've had done to me. This essences, the conscious introspection questions, the Tameana crystal healings as well. But to actually combine them together, I want to know exactly how this has become more potent, the challenges and the blessings that you will be moving through. So that is why. And, this isn't just all surface stuff here. And yes, I am here in service to you, but I want you to also know some of the stuff that's happening in the background, like not even some of the not so pretty stuff, because there's been some not so pretty stuff. Mostly from me, telling you the truth. Because this stuff has been clearing the stuff that for me has been coming up multiple times. And it's just interesting how it's coming up again. But it's different this time. So we will dive into that.
Yeah.
But who am I and why am I here? So my name is Hilary Hraefn Porter. You may know me already. If not, I am an integrative healer, an ascension guide and mentor. I draw upon many different modalities, especially things like esoteric acupuncture, Tameana crystal healing, and plant spirit medicine, and also my abilities as a spiritual intuitive and my 7 sisters and a couple other guides that I have. And I work with you to step over that threshold into that space of your true expression, of your divinity, into that space where you can breathe, where you feel heard, where you feel seen, because you are now coming from a space of intuition, of a space knowing of yourself. So you know what to ask for, you know how to say it. And that is just something that is already in you. It's just been covered up with all this stuff. And we lose that intuition. We were just actually at something, a quick aside on that. We were at something called Being Held yesterday. We are planning on popping on tomorrow sometimes. Keep an eye out for that. We're going to talk about that experience, especially because Derek, it was his first time.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. But one of those things that the space does is it helps you, because you have to be able to ask for what you need. And what I see a lot of, and it included in myself sometimes, is being like, what do I need? What do I need in this moment? And you draw a blank because you actually are not in tune with what your needs are, or you're afraid to ask for what you need, or it's been so long since you've been allowed to ask for what you need that you don't even know how to tap into what that sensation is of what you need, what you desire, how you will feel whole and healthy. And that's what this process has been doing as well, is tuning you into like, oh, that's what my physical need is now. Oh, that's what my emotional need is right now. So yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. So that is who I am. That is what I do. This is Derek.
Hi, everyone.
Full disclosure, he's also my partner.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? Um, so it's definitely been interesting. At the beginning, we actually were cracking jokes around week 2, I think
Yeah.
it was, that because there will be a transfer of location happening soon, and we will be living together. And we were joking that if you are thinking about even moving in with your partner, then you should do this 8-week transformation together to clear out everything before you live together, because it'll either make you or break you. Because truly, it peels up everything.
That's a good one.
Right? It peels up everything and all those little. Oh yeah, we.
It peels all the layers off.
Yeah, it's allowing you to see like, oh, that's one of my patterns that like is not necessarily. It's a little messy.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily need to be fixed, but it's a little messy and it can get in the way. So, exactly. Let's just say our weekend's been pretty like.
It's been a wild weekend.
It's been pretty awesome. Being held yesterday, did some inventory help for a lovely, beautiful space in Victoria here called Market Garden today, and then other things.
And then there's the 7 plane. So the 7th week is starting today as well.
So today we start. We haven't taken our. Did you already take yours?
No, after the video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd requested that because he gets his downloads pretty hard, but in a different way.
And then we're doing some esoteric acupuncture tonight with my Tameana and your Tameana session as well too.
Yeah. So part of the program. So what is Tameana? Let's touch. So we're doing some Tameana.
Mm-hmm.
But what is even Tameana? So you might have heard me talking about this before as well. If you have any questions, if you've been watching this and you're just like, but what exactly is X or Y or what do you mean by that? Please either send me a message, drop a line here on the live. I'll make sure to be posting this after as well. It'll also be posted on YouTube. And so you can always send me your questions in regards to this. I welcome all these questions. So Tameana is a system, a high vibrational healing system that was, speaking of, sorry, just a little downloading happening apparently right now. It's been a great weekend. So he downloaded this information from the Pleiades, and what he downloaded was information on symbols and how to utilize those to create this vortex spin triangulation pattern above you. And it's powerful when because this can be done distance or local. So anytime I hold my hand above an activated triangle, you can actually feel the different levels, and you're like, oh, no, it's gone. And then you can go down and be like, oh, there it is. You can palpably feel these levels. So these symbols are then activated. There's a master symbol at the top, symbols at the side, down your 7 planes, also the same levels as your chakras. And these triangles are activated. And you work up from one plane at the bottom all the way up. And during this, the things happen. We'll talk about a little bit of the stuff that we're experiencing through this transformation right now. But during the session, stuff happens as well. Last time I actually had a whole bunch of downloads happen afterwards. I was feeling I was shaped like a giraffe, which was crazy. I was walking like a giraffe. It was awesome. That last one was really powerful.
And giraffe medicine came out for me.
Well, that's why. Yeah. And when he had done the session for me, it was. Yes, giraffe medicine was one of them. What was the other one?
Oh, boy. Can't recall at this point.
It was a strange animal that we were like, what's
Yeah.
that all about? Possum!
Possum!
Of all things.
There we go.
So during this program, part of that is these sessions, and then another part of that as well is taking a daily drop of an essence. An essence or an essence paired in a triangulation fashion with 2 plants as well for the different levels. And those were channeled down through me when I started this transformation. Yes, I was told that those were important, and they are powerful. They blow our minds. So that's Tameana, and yes, today. So Derek has 4 sessions of Tameana. This is his 4th, and this is my 3rd. Because with Tameana, so a master symbol is chosen at the very first session. Depending on the master symbol that is chosen will depend on if there's 3 or 4 sessions. Because there are 4 super master symbols. I don't know what else to call them.
That's awesome.
They're super master symbols. And that just means that there's more depth of work that is happening, and it needs a little more time to go in. Because what's happening is 4th and 5th dimensional energies are being brought in to you, and there's psychic surgeries going in. They're going in and adding things, removing things, and it's the Pleiadian guides. We are just here activating the crystals. I am just here activating those crystals, but I don't set and forget. I bring in my guides as well, and I channel things, and I see things, and I help with the energy work that I also do. So multi-dimensional practice as well on its own. So tonight we have those, and I am upping the game for this gentleman over here because I am working on another blending of modalities, so esoteric acupuncture and laying the templates down that way and pairing it with the Tameana because they both work in grid-like patterns and creating spin vortexes and spin energy that goes up and creates that energy and that finer vibration within you to go in and do the work. Right?
Because I'm the cosmic test pilot.
It's great.
Yeah.
He's in the guinea pig.
For some advanced templates and sacred geometrics going down.
Yeah, so tonight, in 2 weeks, we will also be posting a follow-up on that, so you'll hear about this guy too, and this, like, doubled up modality on that level. So that's Tameana. That's going to be happening again tonight for us. Yeah, it's your fourth and my third. Yes. Yep. I will also be sharing at the end of this something very special. You may have heard me talking about it on Friday during the tea time togetherness that I was doing. But it's in regards to the program and the waitlist being open, and I'm so very excited about it because you can also take advantage of a discount that I'll be offering for the waitlist because there is a small amount of spots available at a time. I can only take on a few people at a time for the 8-week transformation in that period. So anyways, should we dive in?
Sure.
Okay. So today we are talking about a soma and about nejmete. So the throat and the third eye. So would you like to dive into the throat first?
Yeah, that's the fifth plane going on there. So I'll just dive in and go there. So basically it's your first taste of interdimensional activity when things go into the higher spiritual realms, just to make it easier to understand that way. But what the first hit was all forms of communication. Tons of them. So from group speaking to speaking your own truth was one that was really highlighted. To get that up and out and released, it will start to dig in there into those subtle realms and release any blockages that you have into that zone. And I like to attune it to Mercury and the Gemini being the cosmic messenger is really what it is. Fast-paced, in there, looking for informational bits. Are we singing? Are we talking? Are we writing things down, making poetry? All that stuff, how we communicate and the ways that we shift and do them together, they all come to surface. Meanwhile, at the same time that that's going on, your thymus and your thyroid are being stimulated, activated, and if you do have some physical stuff and emotional stuff that's attached to it, that is going to come up and be highlighted for sure. So that was one of the main things that came up right away. And I was also, like, doing a lot of talking in my sleep. Dude. I do have to say that one. I know you wrote it down. But throat, totally and then I'm talking in my sleep, like we're not talking tenfold.
We're not talking like Hilary. We're talking like I'm totally gonna do that tomorrow, and like yelling. Like we're not talking like a little like subtle. It'd be like one sentence, and then I would respond, and then all of a sudden it would be a second because I'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like I remember one night, literally, I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to sleep," and then he said another sentence that made no sense with the first sentence, and I was like, "Oh, you're sleeping." I was like, "Whatever," and I rolled over back to sleep. But like, yeah, and this was like the whole week. Yeah, we're not talking one night or 2 nights. We're talking the whole week.
Yep, started right away and just kept on coming.
It was crazy.
Yeah, so that was the first experience that I had with it that I wrote down.
Okay.
You want me to keep going?
You can, yeah. You do yours and I'll do mine.
Okay, so vocal toning energetically.
Yeah, this will relate.
And the resonance that we have with our vocals. So I said a little bit more about like singing. So this is where like sound healing comes into play. Now the 5th, 6th, and 7th really do start to work together a little bit more. Just like the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd planes work together, and then your heart's the bridge. So all of this toning that comes out, how we speak, the ways we speak, the expressions that makes through the vibration and the sound that comes out of us. And another one was sound healing. So when you're singing to somebody or talking to them, or you're getting like playing sound vibrational medicine, whether it's crystal bowls and all that sort of stuff, that's coming out through the throat chakra, almost like the instrument speaking through its voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fascinating that way. That's also the fifth plane of your auric field as well too, and all color shades of pale and turquoise versions that's in there too. So that was one, and then another big one that came out was the final formulas. So out there in the ethers and up there in the astral planes, affirmations are there. So affirmations are like creating our realities through our speaking and our talking and our thoughts, but then to bring them into focus points so that you can actually engage with them in your human biosuit, then you have the ability to spit out those formulas. Because until they're actually fully released and said and used, you don't get the maximum value of them that you want to bring them down into the physical plane. So that one was fascinating as well too. And when you do affirmations, like the more potent way to do it, just lightly touch your throat, stand in front of a mirror, and repeat them 3 times. So you're saying them out front, and we do that also with, say you're like using symbols in metaphysical healing. You repeat things 3 times. So that comes up a lot. That's that continuous one that pops up with all this, which is that trifecta. It's pretty darn cool.
Trifecta triangles, because triangles aren't technically closed.
Exactly.
When you look at them down on the two-plane existence, they're actually opened, and they create this spiral effect, which is that spin factor that happens with Tameana and esoteric acupuncture.
Mm-hmm. Now, another one that goes down is your teeth will get activated through the fifth plane. It's a lot bigger zone than it seems.
It's huge.
And your teeth and the bone that's in there, because a lot of these stuff resonate with your DNA, your cells, and your bones. That's a commonality through all of the different trains. But one of the ones that we don't normally think of when it comes to having a connection, like how mothers can like just know that something's going on with their children, you can do that through your teeth. And they vibrate in so many different ways. The messages that come through your body, maybe you're around something that maybe your higher self is telling you, maybe you should avoid this, and then your teeth will start vibrating. And so you'll get different messages depending what you're around. Maybe it's certain foods to eat. Maybe it's different vibrational medicine for your healing practice. Maybe it's just like, yeah, you're going to like that. Go with it.
Well, and the kidneys in Chinese medicine are related to bone. And also preheaven-essence, which is what we get from our mothers and fathers.
Very cool.
So the intuition and the knowledge that you're talking about.
Yeah. And your teeth, your hands, your ears, your feet, those are ones that connect all the body parts. Everything is in those parts.
Yep.
The root is really important in that. And then you start to investigate it from there, and you see what other things come up, because each person has different abilities. And that was another one with the communication, is how you communicate with spirit starts to come out. It's like your first taste of it. So it's pretty fascinating. So that's what I got down for now. I have way more in my book.
He's got so much in his book.
Big list. Yeah. It just comes pouring down with me, especially that first day. Whoa.
Yeah, his are really potent, especially the first day.
Yeah.
And this, I've been finding these levels. So we are now over from the survival instinct up into the heart intuition, right? Survival intuition to heart intuition. And I found these a lot gentler. Than their foundations, because you have to think the first 3 levels are foundational. And so when I looked at my notes, like you were just like pages. When I looked at my notes, I was like, oh, I have like half a page. And I had to actually think about, because they were way more subtle, which makes sense though, because the first 3 chakras, the first 3 planes, 1, 2, 3, kind of go from bottom up. 1, 2, 3 are about your foundation. And you need to build that solid foundation. You need to rock it. You need to break it up and put it back together so it's stable for the top ones, because they go so high.
Exactly.
And so the first 3 levels were very physically challenging. These next levels are less so.
Yeah.
It's been very, very intense.
And the sacred cross, that symbol, that comes across in those general areas too. So the fifth plane's really important in being a stabilizer in those geometrics as well.
Well, it's also, so you have the 2 places on your body. You have your solar plexus, which is going from the survival to the upper. But then you have here, which is the connection of the heart to the head. And so this is another one of the blocks where a lot of people have blockage, is the solar plexus and the throat. 2 very, very common spaces of blockage. And they're like, no, I can't hear my heart, because they have a block right here. Or they're like, I'm hot above and cold below, or cold below, or cold above and hot below.
So true.
Right? And it's because there's this block here. Same.
That's fascinating. Wow.
So, speaking of, Mr. talks in his sleep like a bandit over here, keeping me awake at night. My vocal one, I don't know if I want to admit this, but I'm going to. Like I said, all the messy bits, right? Mine's my tone. If you know me, you know I've got a lot of tone. I've also got a lot of facial expressions. And one of the things throughout my life has been my mom would, when I was a teenager, she'd be like, oh, then she'd get so mad at me. She's like, in that tone. And I was like, one, you gave it to me. Because it's true. Some of it came from her. But the other one was like, don't listen to my tone, just listen to my words. Because I couldn't actually hear my tone. But my tone was very obvious as to the truth of what was happening inside of me. Because I don't do well with lying. And I never have in my life. Little lies, big lies, it does not matter. They've never sat well with me. And my face, whenever I was younger, my face and my tone would totally belie, even if I was telling a little white lie. So, and I didn't like when I was sitting down being like, okay, what kind of stuff has actually been coming out for me? My tone was beyond but intense. Very for being held yesterday, it actually came up and the lady was what did she call it?
I do remember it being said.
There's a word. Yeah. There's like I can't remember the word. It starts with a C, where you're like kind of not talking down to somebody, but there's this contempt. There's a little bit like a whatever. And I realized my voice was doing that a lot. And we had a lot of talks about this. And he's like, you do know your tone. Like, you've got this tone thing. I'm like, I know, but just listen to my words and not my tone. And like, listen to the words and don't get hung up on my tone. And it was coming out and I could hear it. And then my kidlet was reflecting it back to me a lot. And I was like, dude, was that appropriate tone for that? And he's like, well, no, but... And I was like, oh, mirror. Kids are the best mirrors.
They are. Children are your divine mirror, for sure.
Especially when they're like mini yous. It's crazy. So that was a huge one for me. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then it was literally like yesterday or the day before. I was like, we're going to look at this tone thing and try like to chill it out or recognize it when it's coming out and pull it back. And that's what, I've talked about this before, and that's what's so amazing about this transformation is that you're able to, you might, in that moment, it'll be like kind of intense and it might feel quantum time. It's felt like more than 2 weeks, but it's only been 2 weeks.
Oh, it's quantum.
It's so quantum. So it felt like it was forever, but then when I looked at it, I was like, oh, it was only like a week, which really is not that long. But you're able to then pull yourself to the outside of what you're doing and react differently and be like, oh, I recognize that. It might take, and you might work through that, like, nah, that's not me and I'm not doing this. And then all of a sudden one day you're just like, oh, dude, that's so what is happening? And you're able to switch it easier. Because
it gets you in touch with your inner solar system, and then you can take an outside view. It's almost like you're looking at your master template of yourself, and it gives you like this broader perspective. It's off the charts, really. It
softens of the edges, and that's what I found with these layers, is the edges have been softened. So for myself, I was speaking with source, with ease, and without attachment, and more with my truth. But it wasn't something I was thinking, like, oh, I need to make sure I'm talking like this because of this, and blah, blah, blah. And this is tone aside. This is just the words and thoughts I'm expressing. That's what was so different. Is it was just the stuff that was coming out. I was saying, I feel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty much myself. And I speak myself quite a bit, and I'm pretty ridiculous, and like, I say kind of strange things sometimes, and, channeled, and I don't really block that I'm channeling. If I'm talking to somebody, and all of a sudden my eyes close, and I'm kind of like twitching a little, and I come out of it like, hey, guess what just happened? Like that kind of stuff. But there's still this layer in certain situations that you kind of are like yourself, but not. Like you're yourself, but kind of a little bit more molded to that situation. And I found that was way softer. And I was just like, nope, like, you know what? This is me. This is me expressing it. And I feel that in myself as a band around my throat. So I have a thyroid condition. It's the Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which also is a low thyroid. And mine like flares and reduces and flares and reduces. And what was interesting, 2 days after we started this plane, my thyroid flared hard. Like I was up at night, because that's also when it flares. And my body was like, oh, hey, what's going on with your thyroid? And it started attacking my thyroid more and more. And I was like, oh, here we go. took a couple herbs, you know, kind of like was like, hey, it's okay, giving it love, giving it love. And now it's this like, I no longer feel the scarf around my neck. Everything is kind of like settled in and it's different. So I'm very intrigued to see what actually has happened on the physical level, through some lab work and stuff like that, to see how things have leveled out. But it feels different. It feels softer. It feels less constricted, because it's very, very constricting. I mean, you have to think when this is getting, like, you have this thing in here that's really not that big. It's not a lot of space. And all of a sudden it gets inflamed, and you can feel every inch of it when it inflames, right? Don't let the doctors tell you otherwise. It's possible to feel it. Just saying. So that was like a very big thing, actual physical stuff as well as the voice and the tone. And then the other really big one that happened was expression. So expression in the sense of expressing it, feeling it, and then releasing it. So I had a really intense moment. I lost my magic bag, i.e., my sacred objects. It was me. I left it at a bus stop. Anyways, it was a situation. I got home. I went to grab something out of the bag, and I fell to the floor, at like in complete and utter. It broke my heart because it had my tuning fork in it. It had like my tablet, which honestly, I was like, I don't care. Take that stuff's replaceable. But it also had my magic kit of tinctures that I had created the box, put it together, put all my energy in there, had crystals in there, and all of those kinds of things. And I was devastated. But what was interesting, so Derek and I talked, because I like called him. I was like, oh, that was a mess. He's never seen me like this. Like this was like I'd lost my kid almost. Like it was so intense, and uh, and I was a mess that day. And then I was like, okay. But then by that night, because it was around 2, and then by that night I was like, this really sucks. This really sucks. And I was expressing it, and then I went in and like did some things, and then the next day we went to a lovely outing to Sombrio, which was lovely. But it wasn't sitting within me. It wasn't. I fully expressed it. I didn't be like, this sucks, and close up and not actually express the emotion that was happening around this, which was utter devastation. I was like almost howling. Like it was very intense, because usually I would cry, but it wouldn't be like, oh, and I just was like expressing and sobbing, and I was like, oh. And I moved through emotions pretty quick, but this was like, okay. I'm like, you know what? This is what I can do. And I went into action, like put up posters and put stuff, and hopefully somebody will return it, and no questions asked, and reward this and all that other stuff. But it hasn't actually sat within my body because I expressed it fully. So it sucks, and I'm having to replace things. It's taking its time, but you know what's actually really good about it is the stuff that I've been creating has been even more powerful.
Upgrade.
Upgrade, exactly, right? And but the fact that I expressed it fully and was just like, huh. So it hasn't lingered. I go by the bus stop and I'm like, oh, that sucked. But it's not like, oh, that sucked, and then I'm like influenced, and oh my god, and oh, like it's different. So vocals, crazy. This whole like, yeah, subtler, but just as intense.
Yes.
So, next level is Nejmate. Nejmate is the third eye, or in esoteric acupuncture, it's the ajnas. Anyways, yes.
So you want me to do the same thing? Go through all my stuff?
Go for it!
Okay, so plane 6 will assist you in locating your starseed home planet.
Ladies, much.
So we all have many incarnations, and then we enter bodies, and we leave the body, and our spirit and soul and its oversoul parts continue on. So you've lived many lives over many planets. Sometimes there's a fresh new soul birth, but for the majority of us, it's been an incredibly long saga of epic. So that sort of stuff will come. And why do I share that? Because your intuition, your third eye, goes off the charts with this stuff. Especially if you're just beginning with it, it's going to activate, and it's going to be very powerful. So what happens is all of your ESP effects go off. So like clairvoyance through your eyes, clairaudience is when you're hearing, clairsentience is like touch and feel, clairscent, information through smelling, and there's one more, and claircognizant, So like crown chakra like activities and the knowing. So that stuff starts to get activated and stimulated, and it just goes, it's huge. So those effects go off too. So if you get some like sudden downloads or hits of like, whoa, they're talking about like Sirius, Pleiades, it could be anything. Arcturus, Lyra star system. That stuff will definitely has a larger capacity to be presented to the individual.
Yeah.
Super, super cool. It gets really cosmic with these higher levels here.
And
not higher levels, just other vibratory planes.
No,
yeah,
it is a finer vibration.
There we go.
Finer. If you don't want to say higher and lower, I mean, some people have issues with like
I
class
like it,
system,
but
it's a finer vibration versus the denser vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in the time of the Pleiadians. Like this is when the Pleiadian energies are ramping up and they're huge, and you'll hear more and more people talking about the Pleiades, but that's the reason is because it's the time.
Right. And then the whole sixth chakra generally goes with the indigo ray, and on the electromagnetic spectrum that we can't always see it all, but there is definitely, is that a hair? Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. So when the sunbursts happen and the sun's pulling our solar system, so all sorts of different electromagnetic frequencies come in. You have your own on your body and your auric field. Earth has one, and then our sun and the solar system have one. So that's where all of these energies come from when they originally start. And the sixth plane taps you into ultraviolet rays that come in. So that's extremely fascinating.
Which is interesting. Is this bringing you up? Is it okay?
Oh, yeah, go off for sure. Awesome.
Is the vision thing. So we were talking about one of the things that happened in ultraviolet. So like honeybees and stuff like that, they see those different colors, right? Like animals see different colors, especially in the bug realm. But one of the things that happens is just like the hit.
Love it.
So this, all of a sudden, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But the vision changes. And I'm not just talking like, I'll go into it later, but like my channeling and the visions I see within my head are already pretty powerful, but they have just been like they've up leveled. But my vision, my actual physical vision, I already see fractals, and I already see like, when you look up at the sky, let me know if you get this, because I love when people are like, I totally see those. It excites me. But when you will be laying down, you'll be looking up at the sky, and you're like, I see little wormies, and they're just like little flecks of light, and you can see the RGB, but of the sky.
Yeah.
You can see that. Well, this tier, this level, the sixth plane increases your holographic vision and increases your fractal vision. Like we were driving today or yesterday, and I was like, what's going on? And everything was it was almost wormhole-y. Which is crazy. And I get that sometimes, but this has ramped it up so it's almost daily. And you're seeing through to the actual pure energy of the item, of what you're looking at, the fractalness of it. But not like, oh, look, that plant's fractal because the leaves go around. You're actually seeing the plant, but then you're seeing it's almost like their aura. It's almost like I see auras as like oil and water around things.
Yes.
And that's around everything now.
Everywhere.
So it opens up, and that's where the ultraviolet, because you're seeing the different levels, because the different light.
The light spectrum.
The light spectrum.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and then some move really fast, and then other ones are really
slow. And that's what this is allowing you to see them.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing different levels of the wave.
Exactly.
So,
which continues on to that, because that leads in perfectly. One of the other things I wrote down was that so the sixth plane taps in how much light you can process, and then through your eyes, because it's all it comes into your eyes, it goes through the mind projector thing, and then it shoots out. So it opens up more levels, so you start to see more of what's really there, just because we don't see it. So so many animals, if we took all the animals and the insects of Earth, it wouldn't even cover the whole electromagnetic spectrum, but we'd see a larger portion of it. They see so much, and then we see other things they don't see. It's almost like the hue man sees the hues of the aura and has a little bit of everything. And then certain animals and species specialize in different areas. So it's super cool. So it opens up your capacity to bring in more light. And it does it fast, but nice and gentle for you at the same time.
100%.
It's really neat how it works that in, because it's psychic surgery, right, on the fifth dimensional plane.
And it's removing your visual expectations.
Exactly.
Is what just came up.
Because
because
I like that.
we
That's
have
really good.
visual expectations of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we're always like, oh, I don't look like that, and then you'll see a picture of yourself from 2 years ago, and you're like, oh, I looked like that, because you have this expectation of yourself. But this changes your visual expectation of what's around you. So you know when you get something new, and you're like, oh, and you can see every look and cranny, and you know everything about it, and then it's in your space for years and years and years, and eventually you just kind of like ignore it. You're like, oh yeah, that's there. It rebuilds that newness because you're actually seeing the thing for exactly what it is now, not your expectations. Oh, that's a chair. That's what this looks like. I say that because I'm just looking at my chair. That's like, that's a chair. That's what this looks like. Instead, you're like, oh, look at that. You can actually see how it twists and turns around each other and how it's bound together. And you're seeing it without those expectations and attachments of what you've been told or have led yourself to believe is what that item is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So the couple more things. So the fifth plane is your maxed ability to look at yourself and have self-reflection, almost like the illusions of yourself. The sixth plane is illusions of the collective. And what's really going on, and seeing and piercing some of those larger veils, thinking Earth and its larger energetics. Not just you, but what's happening in your neighborhood and what's really going on. What's happening in your country, what's happening in your continent. And seeing all sorts of new realizations. So the deeper you go with that one, it will continuously dig deeper and deeper and deeper. I attune that one to Pluto. It's like going into the swamp Scorpio and unearthing a lot of that stuff in the collective field. Super fascinating. Now, we've been talking about downloads, receiving information from the cosmos, your guides talking to you, your higher self. So the sixth plane connects you to the Akashic records and the cosmic internet. So what are those two? The Akashic records is the database of every life incarnation you've ever had, and they're all happening simultaneously because they never stop anyways. Super cool. So every action, thought, karmic connection that you've had. And the cosmic internet is the continual database that we're building as we manifest things into multidimensional 3D realms or from different dimensional perspectives. But this center will process it into information bits that can then be utilized. Rad. And astral travel too. I got so much on this one. It's one of my favorite ones.
And those spaces, those recognitions in the Akashic records, and we were talking about starseed.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're also talking about visual recognition, but it's also a recognition of your monad. So what is your monad? So basically, we all from stardust, right? We all come from a space. And then you know how you say, like, I found my soulmate, but soulmate doesn't have to be like romantic. It can also just be friends or people that you meet in your life. I have a connection to you, and you're like, I know you from before. Where do I know you from? It's not from this lifetime, but basically you all come from the same monad or the same star, which then breaks off into 12, which then breaks off into 12, which is 144.
Bingo.
And you are one, so there's another 143 that came from that same star. So we're all stardust, but that's why you feel a connection even more deeply with specific people. And what this plane does, the sixth plane, I keep wanting to say seventh, but we still have one more.
Yeah.
The sixth plane does is it allows you to recognize people more fully and more quickly, and it draws them into your life because, like I was just thinking about, so we were talking, that's why this is coming up.
Yeah.
All the people.
It's like a magnet.
All the people in the last 2 weeks, I've been very blessed in my life to meet many of the people that are within my monad, like very blessed. But over the last couple of weeks, when I think about it, it's been like, whoa, I do know you. I know you. What is going on? And it's been like people that have this recognition and this familiarity because it draws them in, because it opens you up to that. It's almost like your little like spidey senses are now going out. And you're like, where are my other 143? You know?
Which is also your visualizer too, so all forms of visualizations. And I was talking before too, past, present, and future lives come into play, and you get those hits sometimes when you sleep, and those things fill up your subconscious. There's more going on in your subconscious than our conscious reality. It doesn't even come close. 100%. So those visualizations, I love it. We're here, we're still here. That's awesome. And those visualizations may give you hits of those different elements you're talking about and how to locate them.
Yep.
Maybe they were in a dream. Maybe it was a
Oh.
sudden insight, or you're like, I need to go to that course, and then I ran into that person. Whoa.
Which is dream space, which
Yep.
we've talked about.
You're awake. It's all the same.
It's all the
one
same.
continuous activity.
But your dream space realm with this one,
Mm-hmm.
so there's two dream spaces, right? Or two dream spaces. There's the waking dream space,
Yeah.
and then there's the sleeping dream space. And often you can feel like you haven't slept if you have a very active dream space, astral realm life. And until you've learned to manage it, it'd be like having two families. Until you've learned to manage it. It's
That's a
true.
good one. Yeah.
And how to actually make it flow, you'll feel exhausted because literally you go to sleep and then you wake up and you're just like, oh geez, like I was completely awake in that whole realm the whole time, and you're just tired. And this, I always go back to softer because it softens, because we live in this culture where we're all very like, not all very, I'm not going to say all. A large portion of our life is rigidity and structure without the flow within the structure. We need structure and we need flow, and we need to have both. But we live in these like, okay, I can't do that because of this. And you're like, tick, 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 and it's just like very, very rigid. And so this allows the softening into that realm. So I'm a heavy dream space liver. Like I live a second life in there, and it's very intense. But this has been more fluid through, and I'm not waking up tired from it. I'm actually waking up rejuvenated and being like, oh yeah, that happened in there. And I may not be remembering my whole life over there and what happened over the night, but I'm very, very cognizant. I'm a very lucid dreamer. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's happening. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like flowing with it. I found the steps to take with it. And it just is in alignment. So the dream space realm. The very first day that I took mine, I got this huge pressure. So with the throat one, I'm doing this for some reason, but with the throat one, I had pressure here. With this one, huge pressure here in my temples. And I was like, what is going on? I don't get migraines. This is crazy. And then it just kind of went and like dispersed. I found that each level from the heart, the very first tablet I took was the most powerful. And it literally was like the little atom bomb. You might have remembered me talking about that with the heart, but literally I was like supernova out, and that's what it was like here. And it was like the supernova that went out. And then I went to sleep. And then I was like, and it's bedtime. And so who knows what happened after that. Let's see. There was a greater sense of tuning into others for me. So I'm already quite empathic, and like, as I said before, spiritual intuitive, and I channel guidance, and I see a lot of mine in visions. My clarity of visions has upped. My knowing has increased, and the feeling of sensations from other people, which I already had, but there was like sometimes a little bit of confusion of, is this mine, is this theirs? And I was still working that out. And now it's like, oh, that's theirs. And like, oh, and I could feel it without that trying to feel it or it being pushy from them to me as well, but both ways. It's just kind of like, oh, I can feel that. And where I recognize this the most was for that feeling of others is I recognize this first the most with my kidlet. I mean, there's already a huge connection there, but then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I can see more of your mind. I can hear more of your mind. And then I had a couple clients last week, and both of them, the visualizations that came through were tenfold as to the clarity, as to the visualizations of implanting and inlaying crystals within their body and golden templates within their body during the session.
Telepathic communications.
Right.
Huge.
And
I didn't even talk about teleportation. This is wild.
This could go on forever. I was like, don't tell me your notes today because it'll be fine. I'm like, oh my goodness, we'll be here for hours and we still have 2 sessions to do. Yeah, our sessions. So that, folks, is the 5th and I was going to say 7th again. Oh my goodness. The 5th and the 6th plane. So that is Soma in Nejmate. That is Tameana. We still have 1 level to go, and actually within the program there's 2 more levels because there's the seventh plane, which is Homage Taji. And then there's an 8th week, and the 8th week is a Super 7 essence. that integrates all the planes together from top to bottom to make sure they're like, if they're a little bit off, they're just like, okay, come on, and everything just gets right. So yeah, so that's coming. I'm super
Yeah.
excited about it. If you didn't hear, also I alluded to this in the beginning. The waitlist is open, so I am so very excited for this. The waitlist is open for the transformations. They are not single sessions, but it's not a group program. Gotta figure out a new term for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a group transformation, it's your transformation. And it's your sessions, and it's just one on one throughout the transformation. But there are limited spaces at a time because I can only do so many transformations at a time. So the wait list is open, and I'm very excited for it. And for the waitlist period, there is a bit of a discount, which I am very grateful to be offering because I feel so blessed to be offering this. It's an 11% discount, which is approximately over 158. It's over $158 in savings for you. And if you would like to be put on this waitlist, you can send me a quick little PM, just a little private message, and I'll pop you on that waitlist. And there, as long as you're on the waitlist, you have up to 3 months to book in your first session for the 8 weeks to start the program, and you will receive that discount. Just send me a little private message, and you just have to put love in that message, and I will make sure to add you. Make sure to give me your email as well, so that I have a way, because we know what happens on these social media things. Sometimes we switch things up, and I want to be able to find you to make sure that you can dive in as deeply as you wish to. So I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. Sounds cosmically delicious.
Right?
Yeah.
So we will be back on in another couple weeks after we have gone through our last two. And if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to send me a message and let me know. I'm always up for a little back and forth chit chat. And yeah, we now need to go and get on with the rest of our evening because we've got some sessions to do.
It's been wonderful chatting with you once again.
You will see us again shortly, I am sure.
Have a magical night.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.